Coming up next,
We are fighting for racial justice!
Penn State faculty speak out on what they call frustrating racial justice issues on campus.
Plus, a final campaign push as candidates rally in Centre County before Tuesday's big election.
We worry about their future.
And increasing worries about affordable housing in State College.
How can we as a community allow this to happen to each other?
The Centre County Report starts now.
Good afternoon. I'm Malia Brown.
And I'm Michael DeBaton. Thanks for joining us for the Centre County Report. Our top story: more than 50 people turned out last night in State College to talk about the police response to a protest that turned ugly on Penn State's campus. For nearly 90 minutes, one by one, people stood up to express their concerns to the Community Oversight Board. Most of the comments were about the way police handled the protesters at the controversial Uncensored America event last week. Many were especially concerned about the use of mounted police.
So I asked, what the is the point of this police force, of UPD, of the state troopers?
Nobody on that grass was given a warning of charging horses. If you are there to protect the crowd, at least do that.
Specifically when those horses come out. It is immediately preceded by a fight that broke out inside the crowd that had to be broken up.
Police said the situation became unsafe for everyone, and horses have been used successfully many times for crowd control. The board said it would use the comments to make recommendations to the borough going forward. And a group of Penn State faculty are speaking out on what they call racial justice issues on campus. They held a rally yesterday at Old Main, and more than 160 have signed a letter to the university expressing their concerns. Among the issues they're unhappy about: canceled plans to develop and fund a racial justice center, a recent event featuring the founder of the Proud Boys, and retention of black faculty. They called the decision to not fund the Justice Center a broken promise.
If this is a space of academic learning, who forgot to put some critical thought in this decision-making process?
The faculty group says black faculty are leaving Penn State at 4 times the rate of any other group.
Election Day is just 4 days away. Let's take a look at the statewide and Centre County races we'll be covering that night. In the U.S. Senate race, it's John Fetterman against Dr. Mehmet Oz. Fetterman has served as lieutenant governor for the past 3 years and was mayor of Braddock for 13 years. Oz is the son of Turkish immigrants and graduated from Harvard and the University of Pennsylvania. He is a retired surgeon and TV personality. We're also watching the U.S. congressional race in District 15. That district covers Centre County and much of north central PA. It's longtime Republican incumbent Glenn Thompson taking on Democratic challenger Michael Mulsevich. Thompson is from Bellefonte and was first elected in Congress in 2008. Mulsevich lives in Lewisburg, graduated from Juniata College in Bucknell, and was mayor of Lewisburg in the 90s. In the governor's race, Democrat Josh Shapiro is up against Republican Doug Mastriano. Shapiro has been Pennsylvania's Attorney General for the past 5 years. Mastriano is a retired military officer who served in the state Senate since 2019.
Now to the state House races. 1st District 77, which covers part of western Centre County, including State College, Pine Grove Mills, and Port Matilda. The incumbent is Democrat Scott Conklin. He's challenged by Republican Steve Yetzko. Conklin is a Rush Township resident and was first elected in 2006. Yetzko has lived in Centre County for more than 20 years. He graduated from Penn State and has volunteered with the Boy Scouts and youth pastors. Next up is State House District 82, which covers State College and Boalsburg and north to Snowshoe. Democrat Paul Takak takes on Republican Justin Behrens. Takak has lived in Centre County for over 20 years and has served on the College Township Council. Behrens is a licensed social worker, and he's an Army veteran who served in Iraq. And here's a look at State House District 171. That covers part of eastern Centre County, including Bellefonte and Center Hall, and south into Mifflin County, including Lewistown. Republican incumbent Kerry Benninghoff is challenged by Democrat Robert Ziegler. Benninghoff was first elected in 1996 and is the current House Majority Leader. He lives in Bellefonte. Ziegler was born in Franklin County and now lives in Millheim. He's served on the Borough Council since 2018.
Some candidates made stops in Center County this week to talk with supporters. They included Josh Shapiro, Doug Mastriano, and John Fetterman. Andrea Snowdy reports.
The general election is less than a week away, and Pennsylvania governor candidates Doug Mastriano and Josh Shapiro both held campaign rallies in State College this week. As part of his Restore Freedom tour, Mastriano's rally, held Tuesday evening just outside State College, began with a prayer, the Pledge of Allegiance, and the national anthem. He talked about his positions on heated political topics such as immigration and LGBTQ rights to hundreds gathered in the crowd.
Josh Shapiro stood aside as ghost flights have landed in our communities, dumping undocumented illegals in our communities. He wants to roll back 50 years of women achievements in athletics by allowing men to dominate female sports. Are you kidding me?
Shapiro, accompanied by Democratic Senate candidate John Fetterman and others, held his rally Wednesday night at Old Main. Hundreds of residents and students gathered to hear his stance on those same issues.
No matter what you look like, where you come from, who you love, or who you pray to or choose not to pray to, you have a place here in Pennsylvania, and I want to be your governor.
In just a few short days, Pennsylvania voters will head to the polls and decide whether the Keystone State will go red or blue. While Shapiro has consistently led Mastriano in recent polls, the voters will ultimately decide the outcome just 4 days from now, determining the direction of Pennsylvania's future. Reporting in Center County for the Center County Report, I'm Andrea Snowdy.
One of the big national issues in this year's election is abortion after the Supreme Court's Roe v. Wade ruling. Juliana Foliano reports.
Since the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade in June, abortion has become a key election issue for many people, like Penn State Planned Parenthood Generation President Maddie Lapatina.
Abortion is a human right. Access to reproductive health care is a human right. There's no reason why it should be dependent on where you live and the leaders that run that state.
But Gary Cattell, Penn State's well-known Willard preacher, disagrees.
Well, I think according to our Constitution, it should be up to the states, legally. Morally, nobody should have an abortion, but legally, it should be a state issue.
While Lapatina believes Center County needs more abortion resources, Cattell has strong words for places like Planned Parenthood.
I think there are places where people kill babies, so I don't like them much.
Planned Parenthood planned to open in State College right here on Pew Street, but never did. The closest locations are now around 90 miles away in Harrisburg and Johnstown.
Several states have abortion measures on the ballot this November. But will the issue compete with inflation, crime, and other factors as a voter driver?
Most people are more concerned with putting food on the table, gas in their car, getting to work, clothes on their back, because things are tough financially. And I think when things are tough financially, that becomes most people's focus.
No. It is 100% the number one reason why most of the people will show up to the polls, whether or not they're for or against it. People are going to show up. Do you want to protect your choice? Do you want to protect your sister or mother or daughter's right to a choice?
In State College, I'm Juliana Foliano for the Center County Report.
We'll bring you live coverage on election night starting at 8 p.m. on our YouTube and social media channels.
A local resort is getting state money for new upgrades. Top Trees Resort has received a $2.5 million state grant from the Redevelopment Assistance Capital Program. The funds will be used for infrastructure improvements, utilities, and site work. The planned upgrades are expected to bring more than 100 full-time jobs to the resort.
With new development and higher housing prices in State College, more people are finding themselves priced out of the market to live here. Borough Council hopes a resolution could be the first step in trying to help.
How can we as a community allow this to happen?
Tatiana Campia lives in State College and says she has a tough time making ends meet because of the rent prices here. Former Borough Council President Evan Myers says her story is all too familiar.
There are students in this town that are homeless. There are students who live in their cars. The university oftentimes refuses to acknowledge that, but it does exist because there aren't enough affordable places for them to live.
Council passed a resolution last week to promote affordable housing in Center County. Goals include working with nonprofits to develop a tenant advocacy system as well as legal representation. Also, creating a public database to display public records and to update zoning to promote new affordable housing.
The borough really has no authority to pass legislation that would require landlords to do certain things other than for safety. But we can't pass rent control, things like that. The state legislature can do that.
According to Myers, there should be more affordable housing options in high-rises like the one behind me. However, in Center County, they seldom exist. That, in essence, is what the resolution is aiming to fix. Campia says rent is just too expensive.
I was making roughly $1,200 a month. My rent was $925 a month, which at the end of the day, after paying for bus, car, food, utilities, left me with practically peanuts to live the rest of my days.
But there's optimism among council that its resolution may help provide short-term change and that state lawmakers will also take action. You can read more about this resolution on the State College website at statecollegepa.us.
It's November, but we're enjoying some nice warm weather. Will it last?
Plus, traffic trouble continues despite a big project to fix an issue in State College. Also coming up, an event that's brought filmmakers from around the nation to Center County.
Center County's only Chick-fil-A reopened 2 weeks ago after 2 months of renovations, in part to help alleviate traffic issues. But the restaurant on Atherton Street is still having some traffic problems. The owner and township officials hope the issues won't last long and are just the result of increased demand from reopening.
The Center Film Festival is back in person this week for the first time since the pandemic. Julie Jastrzemski reports.
The 4th annual Center Film Festival is back in State College, with films covering both domestic and foreign events unfolding in places ranging from Pennsylvania all the way to Ukraine and Iran. This year's selection of feature films, documentaries, fictional shorts, and more will screen at the State Theater in downtown State College and in Phillipsburg's historical Roland Theater until Sunday. Co-founder Pearl Gluck says the inspiration for the event comes from creating a community around film and bringing people together to celebrate works from around the world in historic local theaters.
I personally think of theaters as a really neutral space to have conversations. There's no agenda, and it's really just listening to artists talk about their work and why they did it, what drew them to a story, and we either connect or we don't connect, but we have a way to start a conversation.
The festival also includes a Made in PA segment, which features films shot in and around central Pennsylvania, as well as films made by Penn State grads and students.
A Q&A panel discussion with filmmakers and experts follows each in-person viewing, along with after-parties hosted at downtown hotspots. Films from the festival can also be streamed online.
And we all have ways in which we can tell our story, either visually or verbally or by engaging with other people. It's very important to stand in your identity and to appreciate the nature of what you have to say. And if that's the one thing people take away from the offerings in this film festival, our work here is done.
Reporting from Center County, I'm Julie Jastrzemski.
Producer, director, and Penn State alum Stan Lathan will receive the Lifetime Achievement Award Sunday at the festival.
Speaking of winning awards, this weather certainly could, if you're interested in weather that's a bit above average for this time of year in terms of temperature. Already at 63 degrees means we've already surpassed the average high for this time of year, which is only 55 degrees. And that goes for much of the state as well. Already most locations almost up into the 70s, particularly by the lakeshore. And this above average weather we're going to continue to see over the next couple of days. If we expand this out, we can play our favorite game, which is Find the Front. There's a cold front associated with a low pressure system that's chopping the country in half, with to the east temperatures in the 60s and 70s, and to the west temperatures in some places not even reaching freezing. Though once this cold front moves to our area, we are going to see some rain showers, but we're not going to see a temperature change quite as impressive as this. So today we had some early morning fog this morning, but once the sun came out, that fog began to burn off, and otherwise plenty of sunshine across the state. Just a couple of high clouds down in the southeast, which is why their temperatures were a little bit cooler than the west this morning, but still all places been above average, and that's going to be the story for the next couple of days. Here's the storm system associated with that cold front, and these rain showers are going to move from west to east across Pennsylvania a little bit later into this afternoon, which could have some impacts on our plans to watch the game. So for today, we're going to have some increasing clouds ahead of that front, and we'll start to see the showers begin to move in later in the afternoon on Saturday. And here's that front moving in the very early hours of Sunday morning. And we'll see a lot of these showers coming through Center County in the early morning hours of Sunday, but we could see a couple of leftover scattered showers throughout the day on Sunday and into the early day on Monday as well. But high pressure moves in behind it, and then we have plenty of sunshine for later in the week. But for today, a high of 68 degrees, well above average for this time of year, and increasing clouds, and 55 degrees for overnight tonight, which is 1 degree above our average high for this time of year. And for tomorrow, we have some rain showers to contend to, but a high of 71. Now, Penn State plays Indiana, and it's going to be a wet and windy game, but hopefully Penn State can forecast a win. And for our 7-day forecast, we're not going to be seeing too much in terms of temperatures more closely associated with November. In fact, we're going to be seeing pretty warm weather over the next week, so won't need to bring out that winter jacket quite yet.
I know, I feel like this time of year I'm already wearing it.
I never would have expected such great weather at this time of the year. Looks like I'll be having a catch in the backyard. Speaking of catch, Maddie, could you please tell us about sports?
Thanks, Michael. In sports, we break down how Penn State football is trying to bounce back as the Lions travel to Indiana. Also coming up, after our best regular season in years, the State High Little Lions set their sights on the state playoffs. I'm Madison Miller with sports. The undefeated State High Little Lions are enjoying a bye week as they await their first playoff opponent. Logan Brandis has more.
For the first time since 2008, the State High Little Lions finished the regular season undefeated. Now they prepare for the playoffs. After being the underdogs during last season's playoff run, the Little Lions are among the favorites to win states. But what's the biggest change from last season? After a quick costume change, State High coach Matt Lintel explained that they've learned to play more as a team.
Yeah, we've grown up. You know, this is a tough physical football team that has really put it together. They play team-oriented football, selfless football. Kids really just, they care for each other, and it shows out there on Fridays.
The stands here at Memorial Field may look empty now, but that'll change just 1 week from today as the Little Lions get set to kick off their playoff run. The Little Lions will play the winner of the Altoona and Mifflin County game. The Little Lions beat both teams last season and crushed Altoona in this season's matchup. The score of that game? A 55-14 blowout, a season high for points scored. But now the focus is on the present for State High, and despite not knowing who they're playing just yet, quarterback Finn Fermanak explained the team's mentality has not wavered during this week of practice.
I mean, it wasn't as serious as most, like physical-wise, but we were definitely there mentally as much as we usually are. And we definitely were preparing for both teams and preparing on ourselves and working on ourselves.
I'm Logan Barandis for the Center County Report.
State High will find out its opponent tonight after the Altoona-Mifflin County game. This week is the first round of the PIAA District 6 playoff games. Tonight, Penns Valley will face Mount Union. The winner advances to take on Bald Eagle or Bellwood Antis in the semifinals. Our After the Whistle game of the week features the 8-2 Central Dragons against the 7-2 Tyrone Golden Eagles. That game kicks off at 7 p.m. in Tyrone. You can catch the highlights from that game and more on our After the Whistle football show at 11:30 p.m. on our YouTube channel. After 2 straight home games, Penn State hits the road to take on Indiana tomorrow. Austin Groff has our preview.
A home loss to Ohio State set the Nittany Lions back to 15th in the college football playoff rankings. Quarterback Sean Clifford threw 3 interceptions, including a pick 6 that boosted the Buckeyes' lead by 20 points.
I mean, obviously, we can all pick out the things that we got to improve on in terms of the mistakes and things that we need to eliminate. But I do think the last 2 games, Sean's also made some big-time plays. You know, I think we talked about a couple of throws in the previous game, not this past one, the one before. But he's made some big-time throws, so that's part of it as well.
The Nittany Lions were unable to force a single turnover against the Buckeyes, but this weekend they face Indiana quarterback Connor Bazelak, who has 9 interceptions on the season.
Penn State safeties Jair Brown and Zaki Wheatley have snagged 5 of the team's total 7 interceptions this season. On the offensive side of the ball, Parker Washington is hoping to build off a career game.
Just having a good game, just it's a momentum booster, confidence booster. It was exciting to make plays for the offense on Saturday. You know, I just want to build on that coming up this week and just help the team win as best as we can to go 1-0.
Indiana provides the Nittany Lions with an opportunity to bounce back. In University Park, I'm Austin Gruffs for the Center County Report.
Tomorrow's kickoff is at 3:30 p.m. and you can listen live on Penn State's Comm Radio with our broadcast team in Bloomington. Now to the ice, the 13th ranked Penn State men's hockey team is looking to continue its program's best start to the season as they take on number 1 ranked Michigan this weekend. The Nittany Lions were swept in the season series last year against the Wolverines, but Penn State played them tough in Ann Arbor. Coach Guy Godowski says this series is a great opportunity to show the improvements they've made.
I'd like to think that we're a different team, certainly culturally, and I think we're optimistic to see if that will translate.
And Penn State women's soccer beat Northwestern last night 2-0 in the Big Ten tournament semifinals. They now play Michigan State Sunday for the Big Ten tournament title. That's all for sports. Now back to you at the anchor desk.
Thanks, Madison. Coming up next, nobody has won the Powerball jackpot since August. Find out what you could win in tomorrow's drawing. If you have dreams of striking it rich, then you have another chance tomorrow night. That's because nobody won Wednesday's Powerball drawing, so the jackpot is now up to an incredible $1.5 billion. That's the 3rd largest lottery prize in U.S. history. The odds of winning are only 1 in 292 million, but if you do win, you can either take the money in payments over 29 years or take the cash payout, which would be $745 million.
That's all for today's newscast. We hope you'll join us Tuesday for our next local news update.
But you can follow us anytime for breaking news and watch our stories on our Center County Report social media. You'll find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and our website. Have a great afternoon.